Thank you for joining us for another DePaul School Parent Education video. Phil Howell is our Director of Instruction, Lisa Stepp, our Principal. I'm Tony Kemper, our Head of School. And today we get to talk about an element of our DePaul School that means a great deal to us, as much personally as it does professionally. And that is our Personal and Social Success curriculum. And with that, something that we call the Compassion Ceremony, which is transcendent in terms of its impact upon our community, how much it means to our parents, our students, our teachers. And so first of all, Lisa, in 45 years we've had a heritage of instruction, explicit instruction in social values. Now we call that personal and social success. Talk a bit about that and why it's important for our students.
For the past 45 years, we have recognized that it is important to remediate our students in the areas that they struggle with academically. But sometimes that's not enough to ensure that they're going to be fulfilled and successful in years to come. So as we look at the students who can be impulsive, who can suffer from lower self-esteem, who can exhibit difficulties with communication, conflict resolution, we recognized that we needed to create a curriculum in which we help them develop those skills. So we started a class that we called many years ago Social Values, and we worked on the skills I mentioned through a universal value clarification study, I guess you could say. But it has blossomed into so very much more than that. That class has become a vehicle through which we really teach our kids, yes, universal values like perseverance and honesty, but also self-awareness and self-understanding. What are their strengths? What are their unique factors that distinguish them from other students? And how can they build upon that in their learning? We also work with them on developing positive social skills. How do we communicate with each other? How do we solve conflicts? How do we send and receive nonverbal cues with each other? And then finally, helping them build those decision-making skills that far transcend the DePaul School. Those skills which I think, in our experience, have taught us really determine whether a child will be able to engage with his peers, the adults he works with, or his society in general.
Mm-hmm. So I guess in some regards, DePaul School has been a leader in terms of that concept of coaching, which is so popular now. Very explicit, multi-sensory, structured, practice-rich instruction of how to deal with other people and how to understand ourselves.
Right, exactly.
And that is that's a great explanation of what our intention there is. So Phil, 17, 18 years ago, from that came an opportunity to bring all of those universal values together and involve our teachers and students in a rather spectacular way.
Absolutely. We've always strived to make these lessons as relevant as possible and as application-based as possible. And years ago, as we were teaching compassion as one of our universal values, we decided to see just how hands-on and relevant we could make it. And so we charged our students at every grade level to find suffering in the world and to somehow alleviate that suffering. Mm-hmm. And it was that specific and no more specific. We really gave students the room to take that charge and that responsibility and to work through it, to work through that process. They had different interests, they had different concerns about the world, but each grade level worked together to come up with a project that in some way alleviated suffering of other people or animals. And even that first year, we were stunned to see what our students accomplished and what their range of concerns were. And there was no stopping it from that point on. Every year since, we have given the charge at the beginning of the year to alleviate the suffering of others, and the students have never failed to astonish us.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I understand it, the students lead that process of developing to whom they are going to show their compassion. The teachers assist them. They do their due diligence to make sure that they are selecting good beneficiaries,
Right.
and that they are going to they're going to have the resources and the time to accomplish everything. But it's student led.
It is, and you make a good point. It's certainly something that requires a lot of work and time on the part of teachers, but they are not assigning a task to students. They are facilitating a discussion that students have among themselves to decide what they want to do, how they want to put their mark on the world, and then teachers help to make that happen. And the process involves a lot of learning about what nonprofit organizations are, how to evaluate an organization to see how well your donations would be used by them, especially in the older grades. There's quite a bit of work and research done on that level.
In the first couple of years of our compassion ceremony, when we would bring all of the students, teachers, and staff together, I remember we held that ceremony, that final school day in December. We held it in our small multi-purpose room, and we took great pride in the fact that we weren't boasting,
Right,
that we were just keeping this inwardly, that all the goodness we were doing. But then once word got out of what we were doing, now it's a
300
movement.
plus visitors
Mhm.
that come and they hear our students charge the adults in the audience to say, this is what we've done, now what are you going to do?
Right.
This is what we've investigated, this is what we've invested ourselves in, what's your step? And it is really a process where the children do lead our school, and they really do challenge us as the adults with which they work and with the adults in their homes to do something. It's not enough to hear about suffering and to think, oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't personally experience that. Our students are leading us on a local, national, and international level to do something about it, which I think is remarkable.
Well, you two approve of the projects. I mean,
Yes.
you know what they're doing, but
Yes.
then on that Friday morning, when the teams of students come forward one after the other, those of us who are not aware of whom they've selected
Right.
to serve and to show compassion to, it's just one presentation after another that is mind-boggling. How much compassion and how much care can be delivered by one group of 200 or so students. And we've had visitors from the city of Louisville. We've had a researcher from Seattle who came in and wanted to know more about how we do compassion and how we build a compassionate school community. So this really has become substantially a substantial part of the spirit and ethos of the DePaul School.
Exactly, and our students often talk about school spirit. We are the Huskies, and we do have school spirit. But when you ask our students, our teachers, and even our families, what do you want our school spirit to be?
Mm-hmm.
They all, without a doubt, we want to be known as the place of compassion,
Mm-hmm.
the school that really does make a difference and alleviate suffering. And that is so much in the vocabulary of our youngest students to our 8th graders.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know our students learn much from this whole process. I know what touches my heart is our students come to us and they've typically been passive in their previous classrooms. Now they're active agents of change. They're influencers. They really take pride in this newfound ability to change their world. What are the other skills that they develop? What are the other outcomes or benefits that come from our students being involved in the compassion ceremony, in the compassion projects?
Quite a few. Part of it is certainly the skills of collaboration and negotiation, because not everyone gets to work on what they want to work on. There is a group process there. So there's a lot there. Certainly the interpersonal skills that allow children to go out and interact with others, whether it's befriending people in nursing homes or working with people with special needs or working on behalf of illnesses and so forth, organizations that work with illnesses. There is that stepping up that goes on, that students rise to the occasion and put themselves in vulnerable situations where they're speaking before groups or speaking to people that they're not familiar with. And then one of the ultimate goals is that when students leave us, they have a more clarified vision of what they want to do with their lives. What are the areas of need that they want to devote themselves to throughout their lives? And certainly, while that may not be seen as a skill, it's an important aspect of self-understanding and understanding in a humble way what great impact you can make on the world.
And when we were teaching the social values class that you were talking
Exactly.
about, that self-awareness and understanding of self would have been one of those topics that we would have spent a dedicated amount of time on. So it's now incorporated into all of this.
Exactly.
Anything else that we want to add? I know our next video, we're actually going to have some teachers and maybe even some students talk about their projects. And we want you to be watching, please, our upcoming Husky Weeklies and social media, because we're going to be inviting you to join us that Friday in December to have the unveiling of these compassion projects. And I think a key point too, many organizations will have benevolence projects around the holiday season, and that then concludes their work for the year. Lisa, these go on and on, right?
Our projects go on throughout the year
Mhm.
because the need goes on throughout the year. And I think one of the most powerful things that our guests would see at this assembly is they will learn, because the students will teach us about these different organizations, how to get involved, what their needs are, so that we then can partner with our students to continue the giving throughout the year.
Compassion knows no season. We are very proud at the DePaul School to be a significant member of Louisville as a compassionate city, and we'll look forward to sharing more in our next video.